some legal concerns about using it, and but now it's having a renaissance. They're using it. Basically, they say, and I don't like this terminology, but this is what's used in the literature. They say it has 100% kill, which means I don't like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I like rephrasing. But anyways, what it's saying is that it has a 100% elimination of all microbes, whether they're bacterial, viral, or fungal.
Got it.
So in the office, we actually will have the patients rinse for a 3-minute period with ozonated water. They literally will sterilize their mouth for about an hour. And that way we can work. We're not releasing the aerosol spray from what we're doing. And this is also very important with the current COVID-19 situation.
Right.
So we're not releasing the virus into the air. And then when we're done, it's very important. We have to restore the biome of the mouth. We have them suck on a probiotic tablet or lozenge for about 2 minutes. That's perfectly balanced. And theoretically, the patient is walking out healthier than when they walked in.
Got it. Got it. And the did you ever meet Hal Huggins?
You know, it's interesting. I know Dr. Cook, who was 90 this year, knew him quite well. I never met him. And he has a slightly different approach to holistic healthcare than Dr. Cook. And I think, I don't know if they use low speed or not, which in Dr. Cook's approach is very important. But more than that, I don't know what they replace the filling material with. So I can't really speak to, I don't know if there's a particular point you're interested in hearing about.
No. What I just know of him was that he was the person who was bringing to the light the detriment that a root canal is to the health of a person, even if you don't have something negative right from the beginning. Down the road, he has a book that's called Dead in Your Head, I think is the title of it. And but he came up against a lot of resistance, talking about amalgams, talking about root canals, that with the whole dental industry. And I was just curious if you had met him.
Well, he was a pioneer too. He brought it to public attention.
Right.
And which was huge. Everybody has played. There's so many players. So many people have played a part in this awareness.
Yes.
And it is interesting, if I can just go a little further with that, in the European Union countries, my understanding is it's illegal. It's actually a felony to place amalgam. And it's also a felony to place nickel in the mouth. And nickel is just about as toxic. It's carcinogenic, and as the amalgam. And nickel, for many, many decades, was used in dentures and other types of dental devices. It's still found in orthodontic wires and brackets that they use on kids. And 90% of them, that's my understanding, still contain nickel.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's huge. And so they found, they did another study, again, with young girls, 12-year-old girls, and they found over 50% already had nickel sensitivity. And they didn't know what it was, and they found out that the costume jewelry coming from China is actually 50% nickel component.
Oh, wow.
And that's what creates it. And of course, most boys aren't wearing costume jewelry, so they don't have that same sensitivity that develops. So if I see a woman come in, and often she'll have amalgam, and if it's very large and extends below the gum line, if you look and the gum line has kind of a purplish, reddish haze, that's from the nickel.
Ah.
And it's in crowns as well, and inlays and things of that nature. So nickel is a very hard industrial metal. It's often put into gold crowns and inlays and onlays just to increase the durability.
Right. and that was, I guess, one of my concerns in when I was talking with Dr. Klinghardt about having some metal inlays, even though the dentist had said, well, this is the highest quality, but this is 30 years ago,
Yeah.
that these are gold inlays, but I know that there's other metals that'll make it hard enough that it's been around for 30 years. And I
Yeah.
can't help but wonder, what are the other metals that are in that inlay?
Oh, sure. The gold is so soft, it's so malleable. If you had a see, most dental gold is not more than 50 or crowns are not more than 50% gold, and most are about 25% or 30% at the most. So the higher the gold, the quicker it wears. I've seen people who literally, after a year and a half, they've worn through the gold and the tooth is exposed below
Oh,
because
wow.
of the softness of the material.
Oh, wow. Okay. I got it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So when you see a crown in somebody's mouth that's been there maybe 30 years and it has not worn through, especially if the person exhibits bruxism, then you know that there's probably a high percentage of industrial metal in the crown.
And bruxism is
It's
pressure.
grinding,
Right?
clenching, wearing, and it's most often exhibited, it's more in women than men.
Hmm.
And it's also, you'll see people that have TMJ symptoms, the joint dysfunction,
Yep.
out of balance, and that, so they kind of go hand in hand. One goes with the other.
Got it. Um, let's see if I had. Oh, when you're doing a placement, uh,
Yes. Wow. Thank you. I really like.
yep.
I'm really
So
impressed.
you do or do not typically use epinephrine.
No, we rarely use epinephrine. I only use it if a patient requests it. I have very few patients, and they feel they can't be anesthetized. They can't get numb deep enough um, to not feel the discomfort during the procedure. But I think 99% of the people we use the no epinephrine for. Epinephrine is like in EpiPens, like kids wear or you have carry with them for bee stings. And basically, it's like adrenaline almost. It's a jolt to the heart. It increases blood pressure, increases heart rate, and sometimes people feel anxious from it. So it's really not necessary. It stops bleeding. It causes the little blood vessels around the gum to constrict. So, for example, if you're doing an extraction, removing a tooth, if you have a lot of epinephrine, a mainstream dentist will often shoot a lot of epinephrine in because it stops the bleeding so he can see the field better. Dr. Cook feels that when you stop the bleeding, you're preventing all those healing elements from
Yep.
coming into the space, and you have a different quality of healing. And many times, instead of developing a nice, healthy tissue, you develop something called granulation tissue, which is very soft. It's almost spongy, and it's very vascular. And often it requires more work down the road to bring in the proper quality of tissue to heal in the socket space.
Got it. Okay. Um, do you um, do you take dental insurance as a
We
biological?
do. Every holistic dentist does that. And we do take out a lot of amalgam. I've never had a dental insurance company question us taking amalgam out. My understanding is that after 5 years, they will replace dental restorations because they say in the US, 5 to 7 years is the average length of a restoration. I
Oh,
found it to be much longer than that,
oh yeah.
but statistically, that's what they found.
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
so that's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that the dental offices in Illinois were told that they had to be closed for a while with the COVID.
Right, since March 24th.
Yep. So is there an anticipated time when your office and those that are on the line would be able to uh, come and get your services?
Well, we're all dental offices, to my understanding, are open for emergency care, which is really important. So the people aren't going to emergency rooms. Instead, they're coming back to their, dental practice.
Yep.
So it was, as of April 30th, Thursday was supposed to be the last day that the dental offices had to have this closure. But then I was told it's changed. It's actually changed about 4 times in the last week. As of 2 days ago, I was told it was May 30th. And now somebody, I haven't seen it yet, but I was told before I left the office that somebody had seen some kind of announcement where the dental profession can actually start up sooner. So I'm gonna, as soon as we're done here, that's something I'm gonna look at.
Awesome. That would be great. What's the address of your practice in Highland Park,
Well,
Illinois?
we're in downtown Highland Park at 489 Laurel, right
Got it.
across from the train station and the library.
Awesome.
And yeah, the dentists, the patients that come to the office aren't as many local patients as they are people from actually out of state and referred down from Dr. Cook's office.
Well, I don't think a lot of people in the local area knew that you were there.
I'm hidden.
And yes, you're hidden, and I'm going to work very hard to make sure that people that are in the Wisconsin, Illinois area know that you are near them, and all the qualities that you bring to their healthcare team. Um, can you talk a little bit about the type of X-ray and what is least detrimental to the body, and should people be asking for lead aprons and neck covers and all
Yeah,
that?
so traditionally, the same type of X-ray equipment was used for decades. And a lead collar, a thyroid collar was always used along with the lead apron because
Hmm.
of so much scatter radiation, almost like a shotgun. Now the new digital X-rays, and there are still a lot of the older X-rays that are out there, but as the newer offices are opening, they're having digital. Digital is like a laser point. It has zero scatter, and 6 feet from the point of the release of the x-ray from the cone that's against the patient's cheek, at 6 feet it's actually angled down to the ground, and it dissipates. So they're actually saying that it's to your benefit not to wear a thyroid collar or a lead apron, because that little beam, that little laser beam, should it catch inside of the collar, the thyroid collar, which is protective,
Yep.
it will actually ricochet within the apron itself all the way down to the belly area, and you'll actually receive radiation that you would have received if you weren't wearing the apron.
Got it.
So they recommend that no one use the apron or the thyroid collar with the digital x-ray.
Excellent. So before we jump into Q&A, is there anything that you really want the listeners to know about your practice or being a biological dentist or?
I think, to me, if I weren't practicing biological dentistry, I wouldn't be practicing. When
Mm,
I first met Dr. Cook, I was ready to leave the profession, and this has so much meaning. And I think the thing that's so exciting is the people who appreciate it. It's so meaningful for me to have somebody who appreciates what I'm able to offer to them.
yep.
And, I'm not a physician, but it's interesting how many times things that we've found in the practice doing dentistry have actually led to the patients being referred to integrative physicians that are able to help them in a way that they never thought possible.
Mhm.
It's so exciting.
Yep.
It's to me, it's the leading edge. It's like the new frontier.
Absolutely. I,
So
I,
that's what I like about holistic dentistry.
yep. I feel that what you do and for the health of the mouth and then therefore the health of the body is incredibly important. And I want everybody to be going to a biological dentist, and or I want more dentists to decide that what what you've learned over the last 40 years is something that they might want to learn from you.
Or even if they're at their former home dentist or whatever, even to ask them, why are they using amalgam? Why are they doing this? What's the benefit? And, and to be an advocate, not just sit there and, okay, you're the doctor and I trust you, do what you need to do. Everybody has to be their own advocate. And a holistic healthcare practitioner, like I know you are too, the approach is you're respecting the patient, you're respecting where they're at emotionally, if they're ready to move forward, that you respect their intuitive feeling about what feels right for them, and you listen. And
Yep.
that's so great. That's so
Yep.
great.
I agree.
And I like working with a network of people. That's what's so much fun. When you work with people, like I think we have very similar perspectives on this. It's so much fun to work with people that appreciate where you're coming from.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm not an expert in a lot of different things, but if I know people, that when I see something that's going on with someone and I know, oh, I think this clinician would be able to help them with this, and I think this clinician could be brought in and help with this, because we all have our strengths, and so bringing that team together and helping the person bring their team together is one of the things that I try to do for my clients.
Yeah,
I
to
don't
me,
have all the
right.
answers.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's so exciting. And if I get a new patient in, and I have a list of practitioners I refer people to, and I won't refer anybody to someone I wouldn't see myself. And they go, oh my gosh, I've been looking for people like this. And it's so exciting to be able to fulfill that for somebody. I mean, I love it. It's great.
Yep. So I'm going to pop down into the chat session here and
Okay.
see if anybody has put any questions in here. And so let's see. Deborah's asking, if trace amounts of mercury is toxic, why is it in some of our vaccines for children?
Because everybody has a different perspective.
Yeah.
Everybody does. And what can I say?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have a response other than that.
Yeah. And Deb's also mentioning the high correlation between breast cancer and alcohol, sugar, and parabens.
Sure.
So that one's definitely there. Let's see. Known dentists have been able to tell their patients to check their hearts. It's like a spine where nerves are connected to a particular organ. So awesome to learn. It's the same with teeth.
Yes.
Fascinating. Our water is filled with fluoride. Years ago, I had a dental hygienist tell me to use a fluoride rinse. For some reason, I decided not to. Good idea.
Okay, something clicked in.
Yeah. What's your opinion on implants?
So implants, I could go on for 2 hours, but I won't. But there's two types of implants, basically. And one is the most popular and the most commonly used. And they're very successful mechanically, treatment-wise.
Yep.
But not from a holistic standpoint, are the titanium implants, just like they use titanium in hip joints and knees and toes and whatever. The other type is zirconia, which is considered non-metallic, although they're from Switzerland and they actually have trace aluminum oxide in them.
Oh.
So Dr. Cook has tested them extensively, found that they do block the meridian.
Oh, wow.
And I actually had I don't know this for a fact, I had a patient who was a researcher with zirconia, and she said that all zirconia has is radioactive.
Oh, wow.
And that can be shown in the laboratory. I don't know if that's fact or not, but that was her reason for not getting an implant. The third factor from Dr. Cook, and then I'll stop at that, is that it puts a burden on adrenal function. And so it's similar to what a root canal does, where there's low-grade infection. And so the adrenal glands, are over the kidneys, and they're the body's first line of defense against stress and infection. So when you have an implant or a root canal in a tooth, it's like you have a little brush fire of infection going on. The adrenal gland has to address it. So if your body encounters something more serious, either very high stress or cancer or any type of serious infection, it can't 100% work towards eliminating that infection because it's already uh, been committed to fighting a low-grade infection in the mouth. So from a health standpoint, an immunological standpoint, Dr. Cook feels it's best not to have implants.
Got it. Well, but if you've got a tooth and you've had it pulled,
Yes,
and now you don't have that tooth on the opposite side getting
right.
pressure on it, I've heard then that tooth gets soft in the bone because it doesn't have that pressure stimulating the tooth in the bone.
Yeah. Well,
And
it can actually shift. I've
right.
I've seen them where a tooth is lost on the lower arch. The top tooth literally starts shifting down over a couple of years to a point where it can even touch the gum of the opposing arch.
Oh,
And
wow.
then that affects the joint, the TMJ, and it's kind of like, the hip bone's connected to the leg bone to the, yeah,
Right. So it's
right,
kind of a catch-22 for
yeah.
someone to have a tooth pulled.
It is, and so you have to do something to make a spacer to fill the spot. There is a new type of implant out developed by Dr. Klinghardt, who's a very well-known German physician, who's probably the number one researcher in holistic dentistry. And he says that in this new implant, there is no metal, and it is so biologically compatible. It's so compatible that the periodontal ligament, the little collagen fibers, reform between the side of the root and the side of the socket. That's incredible. That
That
doesn't
is.
happen with the metal implant.
Oh,
So
I
it's
hope that.
literally like an artificial tooth that's been
Right.
accepted into the biology of the jaw.
Oh, I can't wait for
And
that
it
to
will,
be
right.
available to you.
And they're so compatible that plaque and tartar cannot develop on the implant. And they actually recommend that you don't floss it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's fascinating, and it'll be interesting to follow
Yeah.
the path of that particular implant and see how it goes.
Yep. I actually, when I had a toothache, or maybe about a year or so ago, I had tried a whole bunch of different things from a holistic perspective. And what I actually found to be the fastest pain, address the pain,
Yeah.
was I coated the floss with clove oil, and,
Okay.
and took the clove oil down into the gum around the sore tooth. And
Yeah.
in 2 or 3 days time, I was amazed on how much it helped. And then I think I told you about the LifeWave patches. If I hadn't done them
Right.
myself,
Right.
I would have
Yeah.
never believed it either.
Yeah.
So
That would be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk more about
Yeah.
those later.
Yeah.
I want to jump into the questions here. So can you please say what your office number is, your phone number?
The phone is, we're in Highland Park, so it's 847
Uh-huh.
432
Uh-huh.
6501.
Got it. And another question here is, oh, it's actually not a question, but it's a comment from Linda that Dr. Huggins is the one who told me to get my root canal out after I had breast
Wow,
cancer.
great.
I could
Great.
not believe my tooth was black underneath and my
Right.
chronic earaches finally went away.
Yeah, amazing. I
Yep,
know. It's wonderful.
yep. And question from, it says just iPhone, so I don't know who it is, but at what point do we have our mercury fillings replaced?
Well, so the sooner the better.
Got it?
From the day they're put in, they're releasing mercury.
Yep.
And you may be lucky enough that you don't feel symptoms, but on a metabolic level, on a chemical level in the body, they're toxic, they're poison.
Yep.
And
Okay.
so the approach is that it's just layers and layers of toxicity, and mercury is another one in your body.
Got it. Stephanie's asking, do you replace teeth?
And what do you mean? Replace crowns, or do you, or
That's all she's saying here. So Stephanie, if you can put in there a little bit more in the chat about what you mean about replacing teeth.
Can you
So
hear me, Joan?
pardon?
Yes, I can hear.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Sam, yeah, a complete tooth replacement.
So are you talking about an implant?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be an implant. So I work with the biologic oral surgeon who's in Northbrook, and he'll place that, and he does it. There's a very specific way to do it, and he uses ozone in the treatment, and it takes about 4 to 6 months, depending on the site in the mouth, that the bone is fully integrated around the implant, because it's like a screw. It's got threads where the bone has to granulate in. And then we place the implant cap with the same material 6 months later. So that's my aspect of it.
What's that doctor's name?
His name is Michael Nick, N-I-C-K.
Great.
Got it.
And he's in downtown Northbrook. I actually have a phone number if you want it.
Oh, sure, why not?
I didn't plan on that. It just happens to be on my desk. It's he's at 847-272-9516.
So somebody would go to him first to get the process started, and then you would cap it then?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So don't you have to, you don't have to figure out the size of what's the top thing's going to be, but so this is the same as what you would do now, because right now you don't have Dr. Klinghart's
No, Dr. Nick is placing Dr. Klinghart's design.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Got it. And another question here is, if you have a very small amalgam, so small another dentist said it shouldn't have been put in, should I have it taken out?
So the answer, according to Dr. Cook's research, is that even 1 pinpoint of mercury is toxic.
Yep.
And even 1 pinpoint blocks the whole meridian. He says it's like taking the thinnest little electric wire you can find and putting it into an electric socket outlet, and you blow the fuse.
Got it.
It doesn't matter whether it's large or small. It's still doing the same thing. Maybe there's a little less toxicity because you have less mercury, but it's a moot point.
Got it. Question from the iPhone person is, can mercury fillings cause tinnitus? I'm
you
not
know
sure
what? There's a lot of causes and a lot of controversy over that. I can't say definitively that they do.
Yep.
So I don't want to say something unless I'm 100% sure.
Okay. How does the oral probiotic affect your gut biome? From Deborah?
Well, it's great, because if the mouth is the gate to your health and the gate to the whole digestive tract, it's like if you're already starting with a healthy biome up here, it can only help the way the food is digested, And there's actually a book called The Third Brain, which is excellent. And it addresses that whole issue of how the gut bacteria actually have a mind of their own, and they're actually in contact with the brain that affects the type of foods you need and want and for your body. It's a fascinating subject. But anywhere that you can produce more health in your body can only help you.
Got it. I think that was all the questions that are in the chat. Is there anyone that wants to unmute themselves and ask Dr. Joel a question? Does everybody know how to unmute themselves? If you look at the little microphone in the bottom left-hand corner where it's red, you would just click on that, and that would make it so you could talk to Dr. Joel.
I do have a question.
Yep.
Dr. Joel and Joan, thank you so much for this great information.
You're welcome.
I wondered if you're taking any phone consultations right now, since you're not really open except for emergencies.
Yes, we've been doing quite a few, actually. And I've actually had patients that have either gone on to Zoom and showed me their mouth, which was new to me, to doing that type of approach. But yes, we've been doing that. That's telemedicine, teledentistry.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine has the tooth camera, and so she will take the tooth camera and
Oh, that's
run it
great.
around, your mouth. I've got
Yeah,
the camera for inside your ear,
yeah,
so I can show people, what's going on with their ear membrane, and
yeah.
when
Very
they,
cool.
got an earache, or they're having a lot of tinnitus, and so that sometimes helps.
Yeah.
That, but I can see where that could be really helpful for you too, because you could see,
Oh,
let's
sure.
say, gum disease is going on, and
Absolutely.
can you speak to the health of the tongue and how much that tells you about what's going on with the body?
Oh, sure. That it's huge. Of course, the tongue health can be helped, or even something like breath issues.
Yep, yep,
Okay. So breath issues can come from many different things. They can come from deep down from the digestive tract, but
yep.
they can also come from the bacteria being out of balance in the mouth, where you have sulfur producing bacteria,
Hmm.
as a byproduct. And many years ago, at this time period when I first met Dr. Cook, I went to Chinatown, and there was I can't remember his name, was it Dr. Sun? I don't know. There was a Chinese medical doctor, and there was a whole line of people, and they'd wait, and you walk up to him, you open your mouth, you stick your tongue out,
Yep.
and he didn't speak English, but he had his granddaughter who would translate to everybody. And on the tongue it's very interesting, because all the organs of the body are like a map on the tongue,
Yep.
just as they are on the sole of the foot,
Yep.
and on the earlobe.
Yep.
And so, yes, the tongue is very involved, and depending on which area of the tongue is out of balance, that actually affects a different part of your mouth.
Hmm.
So, yes, the tongue is, and you can see if there's a white film on it.
Yep.
Often there's candida involved, or so there's some digestive problem.
Yep.
So I'm not an expert on the tongue, I have to say, but I know enough to send somebody to a Chinese doctor when I see it out of balance.
Got it. Got it. So does anybody else that's on the call have a question? I'm looking on my sheet here to see if there was anything else that I wanted to. Um, oh, the one of the things that I want to know. It's not really a question, but you and your staff speak Spanish.
Yes, how do you know that?
Um, well, because we talked about we've both done mission trips to Ecuador,
Oh, right.
and so I remember that, and I think there's a large community that would really they would appreciate somebody speaking their language, but also bringing this higher level of health to their mouth, like anybody
Yeah.
else. But it's so nice if somebody can speak someone's language. It raises the comfort level.
Yeah, yeah. It's fun because the Hispanic community, they're very open to a holistic approach to healthcare.
Yep.
People might not realize that. So
Yep.
it's fun because I can speak in Spanish to them. And years ago, it used to be that most of the Hispanics we worked with didn't speak English.
Mm.
Now, most of them do understand somewhat, but they're comfortable speaking to a doctor in their own language.
Right. So I just want for people that have Spanish speaking friends that
Yeah.
that you'll tell them about Dr. Joel. And let me just see if I had anything else here that I wanted to make sure to ask you about. I think I covered I know there was one thing that I didn't cover, and that was a little bit about the whole EMF and 5G and the electrical way. We're electrical beings,
Yeah.
and how much that metal is going to impede, kind of how that all hooks to the whole meridian tooth chart.
Yeah, it's
process.
really fascinating because years ago, I would have people come into the office. I didn't understand what it was. And they'd say, it sounds crazy, but when I sit in front of a computer, it's like I shut down. Other people get headaches from it. Others, they can't function.
Yep.
I've had people, this sounds crazy. I've had people who have even told me they felt like they were getting radio stations coming through their large metal fillings, especially when they had stainless steel crowns and things of that nature.
I didn't actually know that there was a stainless steel crown.
Oh yeah, that used to be the standard in dentistry. And they
wow.
orthodontists, the children's dentists still use them because they figure, what's the big deal? You put it on for a few years, the tooth is going to fall out. The first thing to do, they can be tested with the electrodermal screening, which tests the meridians because they're very sensitive to EMFs. But in Dr. Cook's approach and his research is the first thing to do is to get the metal out of the mouth.
Got it.
It's huge because each metal filling is like a lightning rod.
Yes.
It's like having your own personal satellite dish across your mouth. And then it's so important. People often don't realize they've read about this, but they don't realize you have to go to the next level, which is the chelation, where you're getting out the heavy metals, the microscopic heavy metals that are intracellular, they're in the cells of the organs and brain, especially brain.
Right.
And that when you do that, many times it decreases significantly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I know that there are physicians that work specifically with EMF problems and concerns and causes of different conditions. And every single one that I'm aware of sends the patients out that have metal removal before they even start doing anything.
Yeah. I know Dr. Robert, he started the Premier Research Lab, and I don't know why I'm spacing his name at the moment, but I know that he would, when people came to him because he had the reputation of that, they've gone to numerous specialists and they just weren't getting better. And his whole thing was that if the person had a possible dead tooth, or they definitely had a root canal, if they wouldn't have that pulled, he would not work with them.
Yeah, totally. I understand it, but each person has to do what's best for themselves.
Oh, totally.
Maybe they're not ready.
Right. He was just made it clear that if you really want to get better and you really want to work with me, because of the track record that he has with being successful at helping people get better, and that they never got better as long as they had the root canal, he wouldn't waste his time.
I've seen miracles with root canal treated teeth that have been removed.
Yep.
But it's so important. It has to be done by a biologic dentist. I don't do oral surgery. Dr. Nick in Northbrook does. And because if they leave any residual infection, literally just the slightest cluster of cells infection, then that meridian, that socket area is still blocked energetically. So very important, the methodology.
I had 5 cavitations from where I had my wisdom teeth pulled out in my early 20s because I was trying to be nice to a friend of mine who needed a number of teeth on his chart, shall we say, for when he was going through dental school. He had to remove a certain number of molars or wisdom teeth. And so I was like, okay, no problem. I don't think I need them. Didn't seem like a problem. Didn't have any idea what a negative that was for my body. But hindsight's 20/20. But I worked with the Rife machine for numerous times until I would muscle test strong.
Yeah, that's great. The Rife is wonderful.
Yeah.
But EMFs, you can get a similar idea. When I was a child and I had a mouthful of amalgam, if you would ever touch a fork or a piece of aluminum foil, you get a little electrostatic charge. That's what's going on when you have these metal fillings in your mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. And now I have a biocharger, and that's a combination of Rife and Tesla.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I can use for cavitations now. For people.
Fun.
Yep. So does anybody else have any questions? Because we're right at the 4:30 mark for our time together on Zoom. So if there aren't additional questions,
Well, I would like to ask the doctor if you're interested. Would you like to say a little something in Spanish to let our Spanish viewers know?
Do you have Spanish viewers?
Oh, sure we do. We have a lot. We have a large Hispanic following.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Well, so I don't know. What do you want me to say? I don't know.
Well, I would just do a little promo for your business, saying that you're a biological dentist in Highland Park, and you and your staff speak Spanish, and give them a phone number.
Yeah. Sí, es que en mi oficina es que tenemos una cantidad de gente hispana que vienen a la oficina. Tenemos una señora cubana que está trabajando con nosotros, que viene recién de Havana. Y a mí me gusta la cultura y por eso es un placer de trabajar con los pacientes hispanos. Estamos en Highland Park, que cerquita de Evanston y unos 20 minutos de Waukegan. Y el teléfono de la clínica es 847-432-6501. Y yo me llamo en español, uso el nombre José Luis, porque es mi nombre hispano. Pero estamos allí trabajando con los hispanos, hablamos español, a lo mejor no perfectamente bien, pero bastante que se me entiende. Y es todo. ¿Ya?
Gracias.
Habla español.
Got it.
Parece que no habla.
Great. Do you have a Facebook page for your business, doctor?
You know what? We're in the process of redoing the website. We had a Facebook page. I've been hidden for most of my career. It's people have found me through word of mouth. I haven't promoted myself on social media, any means in that way. So this is a whole new era for me.
Okay,
what's your
great.
website name?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
What's your website name?
Well, Joel Sanders, DDS.
Okay.
Yeah, just my name.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to I want to bring in a young man who's open to a holistic approach, who I can mentor just the way I've been mentored. That's really one of my biggest dreams.
Oh, well, you know what? If we can let me do a little sound bite, and we'll see if we can't find you one.
Oh, man, that would be amazing.
All right. So tell us again what you're looking for, doctor.
So I'm looking to mentor a young man, a young dentist who's open to a holistic approach, to a whole new paradigm in dentistry, and is open to expanding his education in a way that he hasn't been exposed to before. And that's really my dream. It's to mentor someone the way that I was mentored when I graduated from Northwestern. And when I say mentoring, I mean on every level, really. Not just dental treatment, but really in the mental, emotional, spiritual, because this is really spiritual. Holistic dentistry is way beyond the physical aspect of filling a tooth. You're working with the person, with the human being, with their spirit, their soul. Their well-being on every level.
Okay.
So it's not just for a guy, though, right? You would take
absolutely not. No, yes.
Okay.
The right fit. It happens that I had a young man in our office for 9 months, and he now is in his first year of dental school.
Yep.
So that's why I was referring to a man. No, of course not.
Okay.
Hey, look, 97% of my patients are women. How could I deny having a woman dentist in the office?
Right. But so what level? So are they still in dental school and they would start working with you, or?
No, you know what? When you're in dental school, you're just too darn busy.
Got it.
It has to be the education. You have to learn standard mainstream dentistry. And that's basically that's what you stand on. That's your your pedestal. That's your basis of knowledge, and then you use that basic knowledge and you expand outward in the way that spirit takes you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Great. So they'll contact Dr. Joel Sanders in Highland Park, and give us that phone number one more time, doctor.
We're at 847-432-6501.
Excellent. Excellent opportunity for a young dentist looking to expand.
I would love it.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joel. It really is so wonderful to hear that you work the way you do. And Joan and I have known each other for a while, and we really believe in what you believe in as far as the whole ethics.
Well,
So
thank you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
So,
Yeah, I
Dr.
think
Joel,
Joan is
when is your
wonderful.
next appointment available?
You know what? When hopefully we'll open before the end of May.
Okay, I'll fly in for a few days and get some work done as soon as I can
Where do you live?
do that. I live in New York and in Paris.
Okay.
I'm in North Carolina now.
Oh,
I have a
wonderful.
very dear friend who's been working with Dr. Cook for years, Dr.
Oh,
Bork.
really?
Yeah,
That's great. Well, he retired about 2.5 years ago.
I know. Yeah, he's still.
He's going to be
Yeah.
90 this year, and actually, I'm his dentist, so I was supposed to be up there actually as we're speaking here, and of course, that changed with the situation.
It sure did. So you'll have time in early June, late
Oh,
May?
I hope so. We when we canceled, when March 24th came along, we had to cancel the schedule. We were
Sure.
several weeks ahead in the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we've gone to reschedule everyone, they keep pushing this out further. So I don't
Okay.
know. We're not sure.
Yeah.
So I'll call in a couple of weeks. That'll be
We'd
great.
be honored to see you. We have
Thank you so
several
much.
people that fly in from out of state.
Mhm.
And when the two of you get together, Dr. Ross is who I'm learning phototherapy from.
Ah,
So I just introduced Joel to the LifeWave patches. He hasn't gotten to try them yet.
no,
But,
they're sitting on my desk.
Yeah, but
So that's great. You'll love them. Put the
Yeah.
X39 on the back of your neck, the Aeon, they're great.
Yeah, they make so much sense. Just what I've read about them. I'm very excited to try them.
Right. I was introduced by the people that do all the research. So
Okay.
it really is, it's great stuff. It's the future.
Oh,
Like holistic dentistry. That's all we
yeah,
need.
totally. There's so much out there, so much.
Great. Well, I look forward to meeting you, and my teeth do too.
Well, same here. Thank you for listening in.
all righty.
Thank you so much.
I'll
Thank you,
definitely
everyone, for
call
joining
for a consultation over the phone. Definitely. I'll definitely call for a consultation over the phone.
Oh, well, that'd be fun. We'll
Sounds
be happy to
great.
speak with you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate
Thank you,
your
Jen.
time.
Thank you, Joan. You're a wonderful interviewer, Joan.
You
Thank
are.
you.
Yeah, no, you are. You're you have the right questions and the right approach. Very nice.
Thank you for being on the call with us, because I know you're pretty crazy busy, even though you're not seeing the number of patients you're seeing, but
Yes.
you're doing so many other stuff.
A lot of other aspects that we're taking care of right now.
Right, exactly. So
Very
I
nice.
very much appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Same here, very much so. And
Okay.
thank you, Tom. I don't know where Tom is.
He's in the,
I'm here.
he's in the middle screen.
But it was nice meeting you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating conversation today. I know a lot of people are sending me private messages. They really enjoyed it. So, look, I hope you have room for some new patients.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Just getting the word out is wonderful,
Yeah. And we put your message out for a young dentist looking for a mentor.
Oh, my gosh. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, you might expect some calls.
I'll let you know.
Excellent. All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay,
Thank
bye
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.